David Davis, that's the man who's been in charge of the UK's negotiations with the EU for the past 2 years. He has resigned as Secretary of State for exiting the European Union and has been replaced by Dominic Raab, a younger Tory who's even more Brexity, shall we say. He was Minister for Housing and Planning until about 5 minutes ago. So, Theresa May, our bumbling Prime Minister, called this big get-together recently at her grand country estate, Chequers, where they had this cabinet meeting that was supposed to get everyone at the highest level of government on the same page, a united front, as we go into the final stages of thrashing out a deal with the EU. But the PM's plan didn't sit well with Davis. For him, we are, quote, giving away too much too easily. Yeah. So what the government wants to do, I think, is create a relationship where trade is as frictionless as possible. But I suspect it won't be a smooth ride by any means in the next few years. There's also talk about a joint institutional framework with regards agreements between the UK and the EU. The government also wants to avoid the hard border scenario with Ireland, so this idea of a combined customs territory is being put forward. Now, the EU negotiators have to agree to all of this, and 27 nations, the remaining 27 who will make up the Union post-Brexit, they all have to sign off on this individually, sign off on this deal. Yeah, it's not going to be straightforward by any means. What I'm hearing now, this is a new one to my ears, is this term mobility framework, which I understand will replace automatic free movement, but will allow for relatively easy movement across Europe for work and or study purposes. Whether that materialises or not remains to be seen. We'll see. What is clear though, and has been for a while, is the anxiety and anger of businessmen and businesswomen, and the anxiety and anger of workers in various sectors, who have had this cloud of uncertainty hanging over them for more than 2 years now, and who are still none the wiser as to how this is going to pan out. That some companies might simply pack up their shit and head for EU territory after doing some calculations next year. Yeah, that's a possibility, of course. Anyway, words like chaos and shambles are now flying around. Obviously, Labour are on the attack, maybe smelling blood in the water. Corbyn says May has no authority left. He said, quote, "With her government in chaos, if she clings on, it's clear she's more interested in hanging on for her own sake than serving the people of our country," unquote. Of course, within the Parliamentary Labour Party, not everyone is Corbyn's biggest fan. He has his own rebels and critics to deal with, but as it stands, the Prime Minister is in a more precarious position than the Leader of the Opposition. Boris Johnson has reportedly described Theresa May's plan as like polishing a turd. Yeah, good one, Boris. Johnson is a sideshow circus clown of a man, unprincipled, disloyal, a self-aggrandising twat who will shit on or stab colleagues in the back if he thinks it gets him closer to getting his grubby little hands on the keys to 10 Downing Street. Him becoming Prime Minister really would be, for me, a truly bitter pill to swallow.